So 93 ended up being a good season for you. You picked up some wins, proved a few people wrong, kept the seat for 94. When did you find out that Ayrton Senna was going to be your teammate that season?
Oh, God. Well, Alain was... He was definitely retiring anyway. He announced he was going. So I don't know when it was, but probably around Monza time, I suppose. But that's usually when it happened. But I can't remember exactly when they said Ayrton's going to be the teammate. I mean, I was always on a yearly contract anyway, so I didn't even know if I was going to be there. So I can't remember when I signed up for the following year, or when I got signed up by Frank, but. No, I can't remember. No.
Do you remember how you felt though? Because you'd had a little run-in with Ayrton, hadn't you, in the 93 season?
Yes, 93. I got basically I got told off by him for the way I drove.
Tell us a story.
It was coming from him. I thought was a bit rich, but he sent his manager around to get me after a race, and Mr. Senna would like to see you. So okay, so, and he said he sat there. We were the same age virtually. And he sat there saying, you're a young driver. I said, well, I'm about the same as you. And I'm young in terms of years of racing, I understand that. And he said, you should be, you should be very careful about how you do things. Sometimes it can go wrong. And I was thinking, I know your career, mate, honestly, really? You're telling me. And he was trying to put me in my place, I think. So, trying to get me to respect him, and
And what had you done then on the track?
I think I tried to block him.
You'd had the audacity to race him.
I had the audacity to actually race and stop him overtaking me. But of course, he'd done us all up a kipper at Donington, hadn't he? In that famous race that he went round the outside of me. Anyway, that's another story. Can't get that back. But he was a great of the sport.
Yeah.
But also another complicated individual. But
so as a rival,
I wasn't going to take any racing tips from him.
As a rival, he was a complicated individual trying to leave a mark on you, I guess, to see whether that would impact you on the track. What was he like as a teammate? If Alain Prost was very private, what was Ayrton like?
I didn't have long enough to be with him. I mean, there was moments that I had with Ayrton when we all watched Ayrton. Everyone in F1 was watching what he did because he was so mesmerizing, really. But as a person, he was a kind person. You could tell he was a kind person, really. He had a very big heart, and he was very determined to do the right thing and to do good for the world if he could. So he was an impressive personality, impressive character, and meant a lot to Brazil. Obviously, he was, at his funeral, I remember someone saying to me, he said he was the best thing about Brazil. They had enough troubles, but he gave an entire nation a reason to hope, and so they're very passionate people, the Brazilians. But I mean, he really was huge to them. And he understood that. He understood that he had a responsibility to a whole country. So he wasn't just racing for himself. And so you were aware of that when you're with him. He was discreet. I think he was fairly diplomatic and discreet about what he thought, and but very, very serious. Not in any way frivolous at all.
Really? Would he offer you advice and help and put his arm around you about racing, or not really?
No, but there's a poignant part of the film where he had a conversation with Georgie at Imola, and talking about me. He said Georgie was worried about, and he said, "Don't worry, Damon will be fine. He's a nice guy." Blah blah, and and Williams are a good team, and so forth. So he didn't have to say that. He was, but I didn't get enough time to be with him. I mean, if you want to know Ayrton better, you have to speak to Gerhard or someone who's been with him for a long time, or anyone at McLaren who knew him that well.
And he said those things about you just hours before
Mm.
his final race, right?
Yeah.
And how did you feel when Georgie told you that?
Well, I didn't know that until a long
Yeah.
time afterwards.